Will this be a rebuilding year for the West Virginia Mountaineers football program and just a year for them to implement their scheme and their culture? And will they struggle on the defensive side of the football because they don't have the bodies? Well, according to two anonymous Big 12 coaches, that's the case. We'll talk about that and more in this episode of Couz's Corner, and we'll do so right after this word from one of our sponsors. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college sports news and analysis around the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Big 12. Every year, Athlon magazine does an article where they interview anonymous coaches around the Power Four conferences and get their thoughts on their upcoming opponents for that season. And I normally do a video on this. A couple of years ago, I ran it and raved on here about some comments made about West Virginia's roster, that they look like a MAC roster. Now, there's nothing that shocking in this year's edition, but some very interesting things that anonymous coaches had to say about this West Virginia Mountaineer team. And that's what we're going to talk about. The first anonymous coach, there was 5 different quotes that used in the article by Athlon. The first one was simple. It just said, Rich hasn't been shy about expectations going into his first year back. Nothing there, right? Other than, hey, Rich feels like they're going to be good. He expects to win. And Rich, Coach Rodriguez has said that out loud in multiple interviews. No shock there. The second one is that there were actually 2 who touched on the running back position for this team. And I've said multiple times on this show how important the running back position is to the West Virginia team because of the system Rich Rod likes to run. He wants to run the ball about 65% of the time. And all the years he's been really good offensively, they've had a really good running back, and they normally exceed 1,000 yards. Shouldn't be no different this year. You have Jaheim White coming back. They went out and got Jalen Knighton from SMU out of the transfer portal, who's another very good running back who had a 700-plus yard season his year before last, before missing most of last year with an injury. They have Dior Hubbard, who has looked really good in the spring. They brought in Cannon Katzer, a very, very good transfer from the D2 level. So the running back room looks to be really good. They've got Ty Edwards from Northern Iowa, a very good FCS back. So it's a very, very talented running back room. So I expect that to be the case again this year. But here's what this anonymous coach had to say. He said, they need to find that group of backfield workhorses for the system to run. A lot of the guys they brought with them from Jacksonville State are at other positions. So the biggest thing to watch is how fast they lock on their ball carriers and the QB. If that clicks, everything else will adjust quicker. So he's dead on the money. Whoever this coach is, dead on the money. If they lock in on the running back position, which they seem to have done with work, he mentioned the word workhorses in there. With Jaheim White, makes you wonder why they go out and get a guy like Jalen Knighton. Well, they want more than one guy who can carry the rock. If Jaheim gets White, they've got another guy who can pick up the slack, be the workhorse. Or you have guys who can share the load. Maybe Cannon Katzer even steps up and helps carry the load. Maybe Ty Edwards, maybe Dior Hubbard takes a huge step forward this year. I think they have enough bodies and enough talented bodies in that room to find at least a couple of guys who can be their backfield workhorses. They mentioned the quarterback position. The only position they didn't go look for in the portal. They feel really good about that room with Nico Marchiol or Jalen Henderson running the show there, and even about their third-string guy in Max Brown. So it looks like they're set to go there. So this coach says, hey, they get the running backs and their quarterback locked in, they'll be fine. Third quote from an anonymous coach. This is the one that some WVU fans may not like too much, and it says, I don't think they have the bodies yet on defense, especially up front. They're going to struggle on that side of the ball unless they can really jump out on offense and keep them off the field. Well, they're not going to keep them off the field because Rich Rod's going to run a high-tempo offense and probably run 90 to 100 plays a game. So even if the offense is explosive, they're going to score a ton of points and may score quickly, which means the defense better be ready to play a lot of reps. Now, maybe the offense needs to score a lot of points. Maybe that does end up being the case if this coach is right. But if I'm somebody like an Eddie Vestarainen
or an Asani Redwood or a Jamori Robinson, I'm taking this comment and I'm putting it on my bulletin board or on my locker, in my locker, and I'm looking at it every single day. I don't think they have the bodies yet on defense, especially up front. We'll see. Let's see what Jamori Robinson and Ed Vester-Rennen and Asani Redwood and Corey McIntyre and these guys have to say about that when the 2025 season starts. I hope they can prove this anonymous coach wrong. And then the rest of the defense, too, for that matter. They need to use this as bulletin board material. And if I'm Coach Zach Alley, I'm doing the same thing. I'm using this to motivate my guys. They think we're not going to be good. Let's go show them. The fourth coach quote, this is an adjustment year where they can put in the culture and the scheme, end quote. Now, not necessarily a shocking statement. It is, even me, I've said it myself. This is kind of it's year one. You got to implement your culture, implement your scheme. Now, I don't think implementing the scheme is going to be that difficult because I'm not saying Coach Rod's scheme is simple, but I think they have a simple way of implementing it. I don't think it's a hard scheme to implement because of the way they teach it. So I don't think that'll be an issue. And they got a lot of older players. Even the transfers are older guys who will be able to pick it up quickly as long as they study film and study the playbook, which, hopefully that won't be an issue. So I'm not worried about the scheme. The culture, hard to build culture when you have 75 transfers. But not saying it can't be done. Coach Rod was able to do it with 60 transfers at Jacksonville State. Can he do the same thing in Morgantown? Maybe so. Can they go above and beyond it? Just being a culture and scheme building year. Can they actually win? Can they actually make a bowl game? Can they win 8-9 games and compete for a Big 12 title? We'll see. Can they prove this guy wrong that it's more than just an adjustment year? And the fifth and final quote, again, touches on the running back position. These coaches know how Rich Rod coaches, and they know what's important. This last coach said, and I quote, if they can lock in the offensive line, which is a huge question mark, and find their next guy in the backfield, they could finish ahead of schedule. Again, I kind of interjected my own thoughts in there. So the quote is, if they can lock in the offensive line and find their next guy in the backfield, they could finish ahead of schedule, end quote. So this coach, again, thinks it's all going to come down to the offensive line and the running back position. I've said it on the show multiple times. It's all about can the O-line block good enough? I feel good about the running back room. I feel good about the quarterback position. As long as the offensive line can lock in and play well, can all these new guys gel together quickly? Can Coach Jack McNeil Jr. get them to gel quickly? If they can do that, according to this coach, West Virginia could finish ahead of schedule, which means what? It would be more than a rebuilding year or a culture building year. So these comments are all over the map. You have some coaches who think they might actually be ahead of schedule as long as they get one or two things locked in. You have others who think it's just a rebuilding year. You have others that think they won't be good defensively. All over the map. What's that tell you? Nobody knows what the heck to expect from this West Virginia team because of all the new pieces. And I don't blame them. I've said the same thing. How do you predict a team with 75 new players when you count transfers and freshmen? I think earlier I said 75 transfers. It's actually about 51 transfers to this point. And then the rest of those are incoming freshmen. When you have over 75 new players on a roster, nobody knows what to expect. Heck, the coaches may not even know what to expect. They're not going to tell you that publicly. But we won't know what to expect until we see them on the field, probably in week 3 of the season when they play their first Power 4 opponent. That's really when we'll know something of what to expect from this Mountaineer team. And based on the comments from these Big 12 coaches in this Athlon magazine article, they don't know what to expect either. What do you expect? What do you think about these quotes from these coaches in the Athlon magazine? I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comment section. I want to give a quick shout out to my VIP channel members of the day. They are T Jinx 048, Cody Cutright, H Bar Farkle, and Caleb Davis. Oh, and also Kenny Evans. Thank you all for being VIP channel members, paid members. If you want to join that club, become a club level member or a pub level member, hit the join button below. Or if you don't see one on your device, go to my channel homepage. There's a join button there beside my profile photo. You can click it there. And I think there's also a link in the description of this video that will enable you to join. It's very cheap. It's an easy way to support what I do here on the channel. And I do give you early video releases. I'll give you random shout outs, early video releases to club level members, random shout outs to all members. And of course, all members get first dibs in live chats. Also want to give another shout out to my channel sponsors, Cats, Canter, Stone Street, and Buckner, and Appalachia Digital, the folks you need to see for your website needs. Thanks to both of them for supporting what I do here on the channel. I appreciate you for tuning in and remind you that you can hit the thumbs up button, which is a free way to support what I do here. You can also subscribe to the channel and make sure your notification bell is turned on. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. Stay blessed and cue Country Roads.